Welcome to Cold Hearted, the podcast that delves into the chilling stories of America's most notorious female serial killers. Each episode uncovers the dark truths behind these shocking crimes, inspired by my book, Cold Hearted, America's Most Notorious Female Serial Killers. Grab your copy through the link in the description, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more gripping episodes. Now, let's dive into today's story.
Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're going deep into quite a chilling case. Patricia Taylor Allanson.
The Deadly Magnolia.
That's the one. And we're going to try to really, get to the bottom of what happened here. We've got articles, website excerpts, the whole 9 yards, really. Trying to understand, how this seemingly charming Southern belle ends up linked to multiple suspicious deaths.
It's a classic true crime tale, isn't it? The charming manipulator. But to really get her, you have to go back, look at her past.
Right. Okay, so early life. Growing up, she was doted on by her mother, her aunts, the whole family.
Spoiled, even.
Yeah. But even then, you see these manipulative tendencies, throwing tantrums, using her charm to get her way.
I mean, that could be a survival tactic, couldn't it, for a kid?
Maybe, yeah. But it seems like she really desired this life of comfort, luxury, even as a child.
It definitely seemed to be a driving force for her, throughout her whole life.
It gets even more interesting as she gets older. Think about this. Marries at 15. An Army sergeant. Yeah. Has 3 kids. But she's not cut out for this military lifestyle.
Not exactly glamorous.
No, not at all.
She was ambitious, restless maybe, always looking for something better, something more.
And that's where Tom Allanson comes in. 1973. Younger than her, handsome, from a wealthy family. Oh, and get this, they both love horses.
Sounds perfect on paper.
Right. But he was going through a messy divorce when they met. A detail Patricia kind of overlooked.
That says something, doesn't it? Maybe she was drawn to people who could elevate her, socially, financially.
And Tom, with his family money, definitely fit the bill.
He did. But his family, they weren't exactly thrilled, especially his parents, Walter and Carolyn.
He saw right through her, didn't they? Called her a gold digger.
Yeah, classic in-law conflict.
The wedding, though. Can you picture this? It was like a Gone with the Wind movie set. Patricia, she dressed as Scarlett O'Hara.
She was living the fantasy, huh?
Oh, yeah. But this whole fairy tale, it masked what was coming. Because things went downhill pretty quickly.
And I mean downhill.
Big time. Tom and his father. Huge feud. Patricia was accusing Walter of sexual harassment.
Fueling the fire.
Oh, yeah. And then a gun goes missing from Walter's house around the same time.
Convenient.
Right. The tension was just, through the roof. Then there was this drive-by shooting targeting Walter and Carolyn.
They were convinced Tom did it.
They survived, thankfully. But that pushed Tom further away from his family, and closer to Patricia.
Isolation. Classic tactic. Makes the victim more dependent, more vulnerable.
Was Patricia, was she orchestrating this, you think, or just taking...
If this story has you hooked, you'll love diving deeper into Cold Hearted, America's Most Notorious Female Serial Killers. Don't wait, grab your copy now through the link in the description. And while you're here, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more gripping content. Now, let's get back to the story.
Advantage.
That's what we're trying to figure out, right? But then things get even worse, because on August 3rd, 1974, Walter and Carolyn Allanson are found dead. Murdered.
So you've got all this tension, right? The missing gun, the accusations, the shooting. It's like a powder keg just waiting to blow. And on August 3rd, 1974, it does. What exactly happened that night?
Well, the weeks leading up to the murders, both families were being harassed. Anonymous phone calls, threats, you name it. It just amplified the tension. And it was during this chaos that Tom, convinced his father was out to get him, went to his parents' house.
To confront Walter.
Exactly. And, well, things didn't go as planned. The scene in the basement was pure chaos. Walter, he starts shooting, thinking Tom was there to harm him. Carolyn, hearing the commotion, comes down with another gun. It was a mess. By the time the police arrived, both Walter and Carolyn were dead.
Do we know who made those calls? Those anonymous threats? Could that be part of, a bigger plan?
It's a question that has haunted investigators for years. Some think Patricia could have been behind it, pushing Tom towards that confrontation, but there's no proof, no hard evidence connecting her to the calls.
So Tom is arrested, charged with the murders. Where does Patricia fit in all of this? What does she say happened?
Well, her accounts of Tom's whereabouts that night, they're all over the place. Inconsistent. This didn't help Tom's case at all. But here's where it gets interesting. While Tom's in prison, Patricia, she doesn't exactly act like a supportive wife.
Leave me? Did she visit him, try to help him get out?
No. In fact, she actually tries to convince him to commit suicide. Can you believe that?
Wow. That's just cold. Why would she do that?
Think about it. She's alone now on that farm, heavily mortgaged, facing financial ruin. Tom's death, it would have given her control of everything.
So she leaves him in prison and moves on with her life.
Well, moves on might be putting it lightly. Remember Tom's grandparents, Papa and Nona?
Yeah.
She moves them into her home. Seemed like a nice gesture, right? Even convinces them to give her control of their finances.
Okay.
But according to Patricia's own daughter, there's a twist. Patricia was allegedly poisoning them with arsenic.
Oh my God, she's poisoning them.
Yeah. And eventually she gets caught, sentenced to 8 years. But it's the pattern, She goes after vulnerable people, exploits their trust for financial gain.
Makes you wonder, was she doing the same thing to Tom and his family?
Exactly. And while she's serving time for poisoning Tom's grandparents, Tom, he's still behind bars. 15 and a half years before he's finally released on parole. And it's during those years he starts to see things clearly. He realizes he was manipulated by Patricia.
It's tragic. Like, he finally sees the truth, but it's too late. Did he ever try to, go after Patricia with this new information?
He did. He tried to work with investigators, but by then Patricia was already out, released from prison for the poisonings. And she had a new target. A wealthy couple in Atlanta, the Creasts.
Wait, so she's already moving on to new victims even before Tom is out? It's like she just can't stop. What happened with this couple? The Creast?
She gets a job as their caregiver, uses her charm, some fake credentials, and not long after, Mr. Christ dies. Suspicious circumstances. Mrs. Christ, she falls seriously ill.
Sounds familiar.
Right. The family thought Patricia poisoned them, but there wasn't enough evidence to prove it.
It's like she's always one step ahead.
She was good. Slipped through the cracks.
So what happened? What did they actually charge her with?
Theft. Attempted murder for Mrs. Christ. Posing as a registered nurse. And she cut a deal, a plea bargain.
A plea bargain?
Yeah.
For attempted murder?
Yeah. To avoid more charges, she agreed to never be investigated for the Allanson murders. Ever.
That's unbelievable. If she basically got away with it.
Pretty much. 8 more years in prison. Released in 1999, and you're not going to believe this, she opens a doll shop. Past pretty playthings.
A doll shop? Seriously, it's almost too perfect.
It's wild, right? But that wasn't the end of it. Years later, 2008, she's arrested again. Doctor shopping, getting tons of painkillers.
So even in her later years, she's still up to no good. It seems like she lived on the edge, always pushing the limits.
Always. But it leaves us with so many questions. Was she a cold-blooded killer? Or just a woman who made terrible choices? It's a mystery.
I mean, a doll shop. It's just almost comical. Like, she's trying to, reinvent herself, present this innocent image to the world.
But the past, it always catches up, doesn't it?
Yeah. Reading these articles, I kept thinking, did anyone, suspect her? See through the act?
There were whispers, rumors, even early on, but she was so charming. So good at deflecting blame.
People probably wanted to believe her,
It's what manipulators do. They thrive on silence. On people looking the other way. Patricia's case, it's a reminder. Trust your gut. Speak up, even if it's uncomfortable.
So I guess, what's her legacy? This deadly magnolia?
It's tough to say. On the one hand, it's a scary example of how dark, how manipulative people can be, how they can hide in plain sight.
But then you have Tom, her husband. Betrayed, manipulated. But he came out of it, dedicated his life to helping other ex-convicts.
He's an inspiration, right? Shows us that even after something so awful, you can choose your own path. You can heal.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what do you want our listeners to remember from all of this?
Be observant. Don't be afraid to question things. Trust your instincts, because sometimes the most dangerous people, they're the ones you least expect.
And if you're ever caught in a situation like Tom's, remember, there's always hope.
Always. You can reclaim your life. Use your experiences to do good, like Tom did.
We can all learn from this case. The dangers of ambition, manipulation, but also the power of resilience.
Exactly.
The deadly magnolia, a story of charm, lies, and questions that might never be answered. We hope this deep dive gave you something to think about. Thanks for listening.
See you next time.
Thank you for joining me as we uncovered another chilling tale of America's most notorious female serial killers. If you're hungry for more, grab a copy of my book, Cold-Hearted: America's Most Notorious Female Serial Killers, through the link in the description. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Until next time, stay curious, and stay safe.